go to break, I did briefly want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because I'll repeat exactly what I said yesterday or Wednesday on the show. They are the single weirdest great team I've ever seen in my life. Honest to God, they give you drama every single week. It is. So they win last night against the Lions 16-9. And they do so because obviously the score would indicate their defense was sensational. Detroit, we know Dan Campbell loves scoring on fourth down, 0-5. 0 for 5 on fourth down. When's the last time someone's been that bad on fourth down? The Detroit Lions back in 2022. They went 0 for 6 in one game on fourth down. 0 for 5 last night. So it's funny. To start the season, Philadelphia's offense is what's bailing them out. Whether it's Jalen Hurts making plays against Dallas with his legs, the one throw to Devontae Smith against the Chiefs, whether it's the crazy comeback to beat, and the special teams obviously helped as well, the blocked field goals, but to come back to beat the Los Angeles Rams, like the Philly offense was bailing this team out against Minnesota when Jalen has a perfect passer rating. And the last few weeks, Monday against Green Bay, yesterday I should say, against the Detroit Lions, it's all the defense. And I said this right after the deadline. Everyone's talking about Quinnen Williams. Everyone's talking about Sauce Gardner. And there was even a little bit of buzz on the Tryon Shoyinka trade to the Bears. The one trade that did not get nearly as much buzz as it should have. Jalen Phillips. And boy, you're seeing his impact on the field last week against the Packers. He is everywhere. Making Jared Goff's life a living hell out there. And we know the Lions' offensive line isn't quite as good as it once was a year ago with some of the retirements, injuries. Jalen Phillips was all over the field yesterday. And last week against the Packers. He came into the Philly franchise already, day one. That's their best pass rusher. And you combine that with Jalen Carter. You combine that with Nolan Smith and some of the talented players they have up front. And you combine that with a secondary that was great last night. And we know the book on Jared Goff. It's about as clear as day. Like, he is, if you give him time to throw, he is lethal. When he doesn't have time to throw, he is the last of a dying breed. He is strictly pocket guy. It is clean pocket, deadly accurate. If not, he cannot move. And the Eagles showed you that last night. And then offensively speaking, Saquon had a few nice bursts here or there, but now you got Lane Johnson, who's reportedly out 4 to 6 weeks with a Liz Frank injury. An Eagles offensive line that hasn't been as productive this year as it has been in years past, when it's kind of been the hallmark of their team. They targeted A.J. Brown. Some of those targets weren't necessarily on the money by Jalen Hurts, who I thought was off all night. Some credit goes to the Lions defense, but that was a defense that was missing, I think, 2 or 3 players in their secondary. Brian Branch was like the last man standing on the back end. My gut tells me they're going to figure it out. Because they did last year. Offense didn't get off to that great of a start last year. He got off to a 2-0 start. Jalen was not putting up as good of numbers in 2024 as he is this year. And if there's one guy outside of Mahomes that I do trust the postseason to get it done, it's that guy. It's number 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I do trust that Saquon, again, you saw he had the big catch and run against Green Bay last week. You saw he had some creases, some holes to make it happen against Detroit. And it was windy. That did factor. That's probably why the deep ball wasn't working, because the winds were, 25, 30 miles an hour in Philadelphia and really in the entire Northeast all day yesterday. It's still a work in progress. I still think that they have a weak point in Kevin Patullo. I think he is the weak link of their football team. And another thing that I said last week, if you're an Eagles fan, what's the one thing that you think will get you beat in the playoffs? It was probably bad offensive play calling. Was the fact that coming into this week, the Eagles led the NFL in 3-and-out percentage at 31%. The other thing that could get them beat against an NFC that is, we look at today, man, it's wide open and it's stacked, is boneheaded late game decisions by Nick Sirianni. And I've given Sirianni his love on the show. I used to not be a fan. I now give him the respect. I've said, it's funny, they were on the same field last night. You can't love Dan Campbell and hate Nick Sirianni. Campbell's more lovable than Sirianni. He's not as much of a jerk. That's not, Dan Campbell's a lovable dude, but cut from the same cloth. Culture builders, hiring good staffs that get the total buy-in of the players play their butts off for them. But game management by Sirianni leaves a lot to be desired. Last week, up 10-7, defensive battle in Green Bay. The Packers offense has done zilch against you guys. You can run the clock down to 30 seconds, or 20, I think it was 20 seconds, 25 seconds. Punt the ball away, kind of like have a similar punt maybe to what Seattle had yesterday, or what the Rams had yesterday against Seattle. Down it inside the 5-yard line, and Green Bay is dead. They are not getting into field goal range with that little time and no timeouts. Kicking the field goal would have been dumb, because if you make it, great, but if you miss it, now Green Bay's got a short field. You did the worst thing possible. You went for it. And Green Bay had a shot to tie the game late. Yesterday, I listen, I know the push is going to get banned after this year, thankfully, because it's an impossible play to officiate, although they did a better job last night, to be fair. They called penalties on the Eagles' offensive line, which they tend to not do in some of these spots. But Detroit, to their credit, had kind of stopped the tush push. They kind of brought a guy around the edge to stop Jalen Hurts on kind of that second effort, which is where Jalen has a lot of success. They brought a linebacker around the edge to kind of stop his forward progress, to stop his momentum going forward. The Lions did a pretty good job against the Philly tush push yesterday. And up 10, under 3 minutes to go, with your defense playing out of their freaking minds. Jared Goff is doing nothing. Well under a 50% completion. And you tush push on 4th down. Bruh, punt the ball away. Even if Detroit scores, a substantial amount of clock's going to come off. You get the ball back, bleed it out. And we saw the play late, what might be the worst call of the NFL season, the pass interference. Now, again, to be fair, and I said this on social media, like, the Eagles were clearly the better team yesterday. That still might have been the worst call of the season. Like, the Eagles deserved to win. They were the better team for 60 minutes. In no universe did Rock Ya-Sin commit pass interference against A.J. Brown. In no universe. If that doesn't get called, I don't think the Lions are going to go down and win the game. Because chances are Dan Campbell's going to go for 2 in that spot because he's Dan Campbell. But, bruh, you're up 10. Defense is playing out of their minds. They've given up one big play to Jameson Williams, and that's it. Punt the freaking ball away. Send Jalen Phillips and Jalen Carter and all these guys after Jared Goff like you have been doing all night. Don't give them a short field to get a short field goal. Now they got a shot. Now they've got a puncher's chance. When you've got an opportunity to stomp out the life of your opponent, take it. It's the NFL. The margins of victory, that thin. That's always got to been a knock on mine in Syria. Like the game management, some of these 4th down calls, not been great. So that I don't necessarily trust the playoffs. It didn't really come back to bite the Eagles in the postseason because they were blowing out everybody except for the Rams. But they're finding ways to win. I defended the Chiefs last year, like, guys, winning is an art, and they're finding ways to do it. It's hard. Eagles are doing that this year. Defending champs. They've got a level of confidence. Their defense is all the way back. Vic Fangio's got that unit playing its best football. Secondary's been great. Holding Detroit's offense to 9 points was impressive. It's just, God, it's a weird team. It's always something every week. It could be, the defense getting off to a rough start and giving up big plays down the field to the Rams and the Cowboys, and special teams is blocking field goals, and now they're losing 2 games in a row. And you got anonymous players saying, this reminds me of the 2023 collapse. And then you got Sirianni making bad late-game decisions, and Jalen Hurts is going from perfect pass rating to struggling, and all these things. And they're 8-2 in the top seed in the NFC. And if the road to Super Bowl 60 has to go through Philadelphia again, bodes well for the Eagles. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.